Howdy, we are back today with something pretty different, that being the Galaxy Z Fold 2, and I'm just going to try to rapid fire a bunch of quirks that I found on day-to-day use. Hopefully this helps somebody if you are interested in purchasing this thing, some of the stuff that you might encounter in daily use. Now the first thing might seem obvious, especially given the thickness of the phone, but this thing is heavy, a lot heavier than I was really expecting, and maybe I should have expected more, but yeah, this thing is definitely substantial. Taking it in and out of your pocket, using it single-handedly, you are going to feel the weight. Not in a terrible way necessarily, it's kind of like back in the day, the more something weighed, the more likely it was to be something expensive, so it feels pretty good in the hand. It's just gonna take some getting used to taking it in and out of your pocket, or just using it single-handedly quite a lot, especially when it's folded up like this. It's just very dense, not in a terrible way though. When you have it folded out, it feels a lot better. The weight feels a lot more well distributed. So that's probably what they were mainly intending. Just be prepared for the weight. Now, one of the things that I wasn't expecting also was the fact that this outside screen, now that they've actually made it usable, it's a full screen, this thing is amazing. I really like it. I find myself using it probably more throughout the day than I do the inside screen, especially if I'm out and about or at work or something and I'm quickly trying to do something. This is just really nice. It's full and it does have this weird aspect ratio. So some applications are gonna play super nicely, but in my experience, those have been few and far between. The main two that I've noticed so far is that Best Buy, for some reason, has this gigantic pillar boxing. And then other applications like Snapchat, you'll find that, of course, it fills the screen, but when you send a snap to somebody, they're gonna have pillar boxing because it's only taking that portion that you're actually seeing in the screen. So most applications play okay, but you are gonna find some quirks, some applications that don't play quite as nicely. Speaking of applications, you're gonna find some quirks even on the inside of the screen, which I guess you can probably expect. But for example, Chrome, when I open it, right now it is in the more tablet-oriented UI, and the reason you can tell that is at the top you can see the tabs. Normally on a phone you're not going to see the tabs laid out in that way. So see here you have multiple tabs open, you can easily scroll through them. Don't get me wrong, I definitely prefer this and it makes a lot of sense when I have it folded open like this. But if I were to close out of this, go here, and open Chrome, now that it's been closed on the outside screen, it will revert back to that phone layout. And that's just kind of annoying. And the worst part is when I open it on the folding screen, it's still going to be stuck in that phone layout, not giving me the tabs up at the top. I really wish there was a way to force applications to always open in a specific UI, regardless of what screen I choose to open it on first. So that is the main quirk that I found. Now, other applications, definitely famously, at least in my mind, Instagram looks pretty ridiculous just because you're getting gigantic pillar boxing because it's not choosing to fill the entire screen. I'm guessing that that would take some amount of work on their part, and they're probably not interested in changing their layout just for something like this. Hopefully, as these sort of form factors become a little bit more popular, they're gonna do something about it, but it just looks really stupid. To be completely honest. Yes, you can see the pictures bigger, but you get these gigantic pillar boxings and it just looks really, really dumb. So be prepared to have some applications. The other one that I mentioned earlier, Snapchat, now that you have it open on the inside screen, of course it's going to show you a full screen, but now if you send somebody a snap, they're going to get letterboxing, because this is a weird aspect ratio, so they're gonna see black borders at the top and bottom. So no matter what orientation or no matter where you open Snapchat, either the inside or the outside, they're always gonna look a little bit weird. So hopefully they optimize that in some way. I don't really know how they could do that, but it's just annoying to have stuff cut off and never know what the recipient is going to see until they actually get it. So that's another quirk. One of the bigger deals for me is the fact that technically you can run third-party launchers, but at least I haven't found any sort of way to have different configurations for the inside and the outside screen. The only way that you can do that is by using the default launcher. So for example, here I have Nova Launcher configured to how I like it on the main screen, and that looks relatively normal. And here I'm gonna close the screen and show you what it looks like on the outside. Let me make sure I launch it here. And as you can see, everything is just super tiny and it just looks super dumb because there's no way of it telling it, hey, I want to have a different configuration for the outside screen. I guess that would take some sort of implementation at the very least from Nova Launcher or some integration between them and Samsung. I have no idea how they could handle this, but that's such a bummer because I much prefer Nova Launcher. But due to the fact that this is just kind of unusable when I have it on the outside screen, I've been sort of forced to use the default launcher, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just annoying that I can't customize it to the level that I can Nova Launcher. Namely, the icons, I would have to go in through their own app store and buy icons or download the free ones, but they're always this kind of garbage. They don't have a lot of applications customized with different icons, and it's just such a mess. So somebody please figure something out with this, because man, this just really sucks, and I'm forced to use this kind of ugly, normal, really basic launcher, which I really kind of hate. If you know anything about folding phones in their current state, it's not going to be a huge surprise that the screen is a bit softer than you're expecting. I kind of knew this going in, but every time I hand this to somebody to try, that's the first thing they really notice when they're using the inside screen. They immediately notice that difference between the normal tempered glass and whatever this is. This has a coating on top of it. It feels like plastic. So you're gonna have to baby it a bit more than you're used to. In my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. If you have longer nails, that's when maybe I would start having some concerns, because you really don't want to be pressing on this at all with your nails, because you would risk leaving an imprint on this thing for an extended period of time, maybe forever. So be careful with it. I don't think it's that big of a deal on day-to-day use for my part, but it's definitely something that you're going to want to take note of. The other thing with the screen, really minor, doesn't really affect anything, but I guess I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Really minor, but when you open it, you can hear the screen kind of unfolding. Really strange. Doesn't affect anything. It's just something that I noticed that I can't unnotice every single time I open it. So I figured that I would let you know. Here, I'm gonna try to get this as close to the mic as possible. I don't think that's picking up, but you can hear it, trust me, I'm not crazy. So if you hear it, that's totally normal. It's just something that I wasn't expecting, but in hindsight, it makes totally perfect sense. Now I'm gonna cover a few things quickly. The inside screen collects fingerprints a lot easier than the outside one does, or at least it feels like it, just because of the different sort of screen material. So you're gonna wanna clean that off. When you're doing so, just be careful, because if you have any sort of sediment and you're pushing it down, you're definitely going to leave a mark. The screen does have a built-in screen protector. Do not remove that though, because if you do it on your own, you're almost certainly going to ruin the screen. I think there's a service where you can send it into Samsung and have them remove it, but really, I don't see why you would do that unless you just love to live life on the edge. The other thing to note about the screen, and it's probably not that big a deal, but at first, my first temptation was to just kind of push down on the screen to close it, which technically, yeah, it works, but it feels wrong. I'm guessing that's probably the most delicate part of the phone. So the least concerning way that I've found to close it is to just kind of put my thumbs on either side, push down slightly, and the rest of it closes very easily. When it's in this form factor, I feel pretty confident. I don't feel like I need to baby it. The only time I feel like that is when I have it open and the folding screen is exposed. But like this, I've just been treating it like any normal phone, and I haven't had any issues so far. Of course, I haven't dropped it. Hopefully it won't come to that. But if I do have any sort of physical issues down the road, I will definitely update you guys. The fingerprint scanner is on the side, doubles as the power button. And I'm so happy that they went with a regular fingerprint scanner, because I never really got used to the ultrasonic one that they were using on the Galaxy Note 10 and all of their newer phones. It always felt kind of unreliable, but this thing has been super solid and I really love it. I'm so happy and kind of surprised that they just went with a regular fingerprint scanner, but I'm so happy that they did. That's gonna cover it for me for today. If there's anything that I didn't mention that you wanna know about, definitely leave a comment down below and I will do my best to respond there. If any of this was useful at all, subscribe to the channel and I will be posting updates with this, any sort of physical issues that I have, any software updates that come and change the way this works. I will definitely keep you guys in the loop. Okay, that's gonna be it for me. I gotta get going. See ya.